My name is Doniyel
and my name is Xenia Douglas, and we are the publishers of 6 Feet Apart, and we're here with Dazzle magazine.
The idea of the publishing and the book was just one day I was scrolling on Twitter. I'm very big on social media, Twitter anyway. And then I saw she tweeted and she was like, this pandemic is kind of crazy and I think it would be a good idea, if people had an avenue or medium just to kind of talk about, the struggles that they've been facing living through this pandemic. It's a first for all of us. And, somebody responded and said, that's something, start it, do it. So then she asked her follow-up tweet, like, if anybody would be interested in helping me out with this project, hit me up. So I hit her up, I messaged her. And
she DM'd me first.
The rest is history.
I think I was in the middle of exam period and it was very, very stressful. And I sat back, when you sit on the edge of the bed, and I was like, 2020 was very unforgettable. And it would be so interesting to see if other people had the experiences I had, because I know my 2020 was not the only, thought-provoking, had so many ups and downs. It wasn't the only tough 2020. So it'd be interesting to hear if other people had interesting experiences during the year. And that's when I just put it on Twitter. I was like, it'd be nice to hear some stories about 2020 from other people. And it blew up. And once it blew up, I sent a follow-up tweet. Doniyel came on board, and it was vibes from there.
So the cover, basically the theme of the book is honestly just adjusting living, like new normal, basically wearing masks, adjusting to having to stand up on lines. And I just wanted a cover, the idea that I wanted for the cover was something to just symbolize kind of coexisting with the pandemic, living during this new normal. So the book is by Caribbean people, published by Caribbean people, written by Caribbean people. And I know a big part of Caribbean life is the beach. We love the beach, whether it's a beach fete or just chilling on a Sunday with the family. So I thought, why not picture of the beach? And then we have two people in the water swimming, and you can see like masks floating around. So just to symbolize that, pandemic is going on, but you're still living your life while the pandemic is kind of going on. So that's the kind of idea that we wanted to bring out in the book. In the cover anyway.
6 Feet Apart, a collection of quarantine thoughts and stories. It really speaks to the highs and lows people experienced during 2020, the adventures, the love, the romance, the divorce in some cases.
It's almost like a little diary, honestly, because you really got to see the lives of different people like me, people like you around the region, experiencing some really tough times, some that I can relate to, some I couldn't relate to, but I could understand. And it was just really comforting to see people, struggle just like I have been struggling, because I struggled a lot mentally initially in this COVID lockdown and the way the world changed. So the caliber of the stories that we had were so the variety was so big, and it's just so interesting. So like we have one example is we have a story who is based on an actual person. So basically it's a first responder, and it recounts her experience dealing with the influx of COVID patients in the US, working in a US hospital. And it kind of speaks to her feeling overwhelmed with the volume of the deaths that happen like back to back, and the influx of patients. The wards are full, the nurses are stressed, and it was a lot. It was a heavy story, and one of the heavier stories, but it was good to get it out there, because that's a side most people didn't see during the pandemic. All we seen is, we're home and we're locked in and we're tired of that, but it's a real struggle, and it's a real battle, and it's a real strain on the health system. So seeing that from that perspective was really enlightening.
The process in getting the authors to be a part of the story. So initially we hosted a competition. It was called 2020, the year that changed everything. It was a writing competition, and we just threw it out there, right? It picked up a lot of regional traction, and then we began receiving stories. Our initial hope was just to take the top 10, but we got so many stories. We got how many? We got almost 100 stories in total from people from all over the region, like from Guyana, from Trinidad, from everywhere. And we picked the best 13. We worked alongside a couple sponsors. We worked alongside Massey Stores, and we took 2 stories that were related to sustainability. They sponsored those, and the other 11 stories were just basic stories about 2020. I mean, like I said, the love, the romance, the ups and downs, things people experienced. So yeah, so right now the book contains stories from people from Jamaica, St. Vincent, Barbados, Grenada, St. Lucia, and the Bahamas.
So the feedback has been good. We've gotten, you know, social media is big. We've gotten DMs, we've gotten people tweeting pictures of the book, Instagramming their stories about it, and it's honestly so far has been all positive from what we've been getting. We've had people who say that they can relate. One of the stories was about a writer basically struggling to write and be creative in the pandemic, and then we had another writer on Twitter, you know, tweet a whole thread about how she can relate and she felt empowered by that story to, you know, keep struggling and to keep writing and to keep at it. And a lot of people who said that they found courage or found inspiration out of the different stories that they saw, and even people who are not really big reading fans or book fans but bought the book because they know me or they know Xenia just to support, read the book and they're like, you know, this is really something amazing and something encouraging. And so we've been getting a lot of really good feedback, and you know, it's a great feeling.
It's been really positive. I think also too, there's a lot of people who we have some writers, well, all our writers are within the age range of 18 to just about 33, 34, 35. And the people who are reading it currently, some of the ones who bought like multiple copies of the books, they're a lot older, and they were so intrigued that this is what like people our age are experiencing. There's some of the things that were described in the stories that we didn't anticipate an older audience relating to, and they were able to connect very well with what the children were experiencing. You know, the way in which we described struggles, just depression, anxiety, even feelings of fulfillment in the pandemic, you know, the things you would have learned, the positives and the negatives, they were able to relate, and that's what made it, that's when we realized that the book actually impacted people in a positive way. So within the first week of our book's release, it became the #1 new release in Caribbean and Latin American literature, which was very exciting because the authors were actually the ones who told us, because we didn't know. We were like, oh. So that increased the traction, helped with reviews, and more people, you know, like, what's the #1 new release? And people from Amazon, I guess, picked it up. The book grew, people bought it, and we've been making some good sales in that regard. The only advice we can give to people who would like to get their vision out there and actually make it happen is it requires tenacity. You really just have to push through and know and believe in what you're doing, because that's the only way it's going to happen. It requires a lot of research and a lot of work, but so long as you invested and you enjoy what you're doing, it's going to take place. You just need to follow through the motions so that you can make it happen.
And I agree with everything Xenia just said, but it's just as important for me to check your circle and to surround yourself with like-minded people, because honestly, they always say this thing, teamwork makes the dream work, and it is true. Your team honestly really is going to be either your biggest help or your biggest hindrance. Having a good vision and a not too good a team can squash your dream, can hamper your business. A good team honestly is what makes it happen. I don't believe any man is an island. Even if it's something that you want to do on your own, that's cool. Whether it be your support from your family or from your friends, it doesn't have to be a co-worker or partner, but surrounding yourself with good people and people who will push you and drive you honestly is a really big thing and an important thing.
So you can find 6 Feet Apart, a collection of quarantine thoughts and stories, on Amazon.
And you could also keep up with Listwa Publishing and see what we're doing on Instagram at Listwa Publishing, that is LISTWA Publishing, Facebook at Listwa Publishing as well, and on Twitter at ListwaP.
And don't forget to subscribe to Dazzle magazine on YouTube.